was thinking about how we reflect God and how we are a mirror to the image of God. This is not only a religious concept, but on a philosophical level. When we question God, we can also ask those same questions to ourselves. When we ask, where is God in the face of injustice, we can also ask ourselves, where are we in the face of injustice? When we ask God, why doesn't He help the poor? We can ask ourselves, how do we help the poor? Why are we not there helping the poor? Whatever question that we direct to God can also be directed to ourselves. We want to take the easy route, and we want to take the responsibility of the evil and suffering we see in life, of the injustices that exist. We want to take that responsibility off ourselves and we want to put it onto God, because then we don't need to do anything about it. We don't need to do anything about injustice. We don't need to do anything about the inequality that exists in the world, because that's God's fault. And so that's God's responsibility. And we don't need to take responsibility for that. But if we asked ourselves those very same questions, we'd realize that we were absent. We'd realize that we were absent in the face of suffering when it came to other people. We're absent when it comes to injustice. We're absent when it comes to improving the lives of other people. Not to say we don't have the resources, we have the resources, but we want to collect as much resources for our own benefit. We don't want to give our resources away. We can be generous or we can be selfish with our resources. For example, when we see people on the street, when we see poor people, do we feel any form of responsibility or any desire to help them in their time of need? And I came across this idea when I felt that I was in need of God and I was asking God for help and for God to remove a situation. And I felt very desperate in calling to God and feeling that He wasn't answering my prayers. And I came to reflect on this idea that when someone on the street asks me for change, many times I've gone past them, I've said, no, I don't have any change, and I've gone past them and gone about my day. That person is in a state of desperation, that person is in a state of need, and they're begging other people for spare change. And most of us go about our day without feeling any sense of responsibility to give. Not that giving a few coins will hurt us or will affect us, but that we don't feel that that person's desperation or that person's need is something we have to answer. But when it comes to our need, we want God and we want other people to listen to our needs and to fulfill them. And so I came to understand that if I want God to help me in my time of need, I should be present for the need of others. When others need me and when others ask of me in their desperation, for me to be able to be generous towards them. And hopefully that also is not only revealing my generosity and developing my generosity, but it will also open doors of opportunity for me. On the topic of justice and injustice, when we see injustice, we tend to evade any responsibility in establishing justice. And we think about our own resources or preserving our own resources, preserving our own lives and our own mental health, just so we don't need to think about other people's suffering. And we act from selfishness. It's very easy to put that responsibility on God and say, well, we live in an unjust world because God is unjust or God doesn't exist or whatever. Even if God doesn't exist, that doesn't take away your responsibility. As a member of humanity, as a member of society, we affect other people. Our ignorance, our lack of responsibility, our lack of courage, it affects other people. And so, are we able to give up our comfort, our resources to help other people to attain justice for them? And so it makes me think that whatever questions we have towards God, If we try to direct those questions towards ourselves, there would be less of that injustice and there would be less of that suffering that we have an issue with, that we could complain about. We understand from the laws of nature, God isn't going to intervene, no one is going to intervene, and it is for us to take action. It is for us to join collectively and to join in solidarity with one another to ensure that we live, all of us live, in a peaceful world. All of us try to have at least some of the basic privileges of life, to live with freedom, to live with integrity, to live with dignity. But we have a huge disparity in our lifestyles, in our privileges, in our power, and we're not willing to give up our privileges and use our power to help the people who are weak and vulnerable. And so it's very easy to think, where is God? But a question you can ask is, where are you? Where are you in the moment of suffering, in the situations of injustice and oppression? Because if you're absent, then you are also guilty of the same thing that you're accusing God of, which is being absent. And so back to what I was talking about, which is that human beings reflect God. We don't just reflect God in our thoughts about God, but we also reflect God in our positive qualities. So our ability to love, our ability to be compassionate, that is a quality of God. We have qualities of the divine, which is to love, which is to be compassionate, which is to forgive. When we want forgiveness from God, we should reflect and we should evaluate how much forgiveness we have in our hearts for other people. Are we able to forgive the people that have hurt us out of error, by mistake? Are we able to forgive people? Just like we want God to forgive us for our mistakes and our errors, we should look at how we're able to forgive His creation. So love is also, our ability to love usually is a mutual give and take. But in situations where there hasn't been a mutual give and take, how capable are you to love and forgive and to be compassionate? So we reflect God in many ways. We reflect God in our desire for accountability and justice, and we reflect God in our ability to be compassionate. We reflect God in our ability to forgive. The qualities that we want to receive from God are also qualities that we can give to His creation and to humanity. Just like God can forgive us, we can forgive other people. Just like God can love us, we can love other people. Just like God can hold us accountable, we can hold other people accountable. We can prevent injustice just like God can prevent injustice.